Okay, so I'm doing a live from my doctor's office. I receive injections every 2 weeks. Um, and after getting tattoos and studying for tattoos for the 8 tattoos I have, but I have a pretty high tolerance for pain, and I'm pretty good about studying um, and being perfectly still, because if you twitch or move, you're gonna mess up your tattoo artist. I apparently have a really high tolerance for pain, so when I'm in pain, I'm really in pain. My heart rate was 133. It should be between 80 and 100. Um, I'm physically shaking a little bit. My heart rate's now down to like 127. When I went to the cardiologist, they wanted me to do a stress test by running on a treadmill, and I was in a lot of pain with my left leg because my pelvis was shifted a little forward. So I'm gonna have to go back because I'm no longer taking my heart medication. So I need to call them when I leave here. But you really don't understand what it's like to be disabled until it happens to you. The way that people treat me online, the things that have been said about me, it's truly evil. But that's basically how disabled people, the elderly, people with intellectual, developmental, or physical disabilities are treated. I'm very thankful that I live in this country, because if I lived in some type of fascist dystopia, like possibly under communism, or the very first victims, look it up, facts, very first victims of the Holocaust were the disabled, people who couldn't work. Because if you can't work, no work, no food. If you can't work and you can't contribute to society as a valued member of society, then in certain types of government, you're the first ones to go. And so a lot of people don't know that the very first victims of the Third Reich were the disabled children and adults. People look and they stare. And during my first year that I was disabled, having a neck injury on the left side. Okay, I don't know why that alarm's going off. Hold on. I don't know if it's quieter out here. I'm outside. I'm waiting for my disability van to pick me up. Yeah, I like it inside. We're moving. So when I first had my accident, it affected the left side with a damage to C4, 5, and 6, and a pinched nerve. My left hand was sorry, I'm moving my walker. My left hand was shriveled up into a claw. And you see that sometimes the people with physical disabilities. Or my hand was kind of pinned to my chest. And sometimes my neck there'd be swelling on the left side, so I couldn't turn my neck. Or my neck would be kind of pinned against my shoulder. And so when people see somebody like that, they assume that they have an intellectual disability and not a physical disability. So yeah, the world pretty much treats disabled people like crap. We're considered a burden. Last Friday, I did something fun for my friend and me. because I don't get out that much. She's also disabled with a prosthetic. And so one of my trolls who they showed up and said that I was using government money to buy my tattoo. The tattoo cost $20, and I had money from my mom for my birthday. So I was not using your taxpayer dollars to pay for this expensive tattoo. It was $20, and I was gifted that. Because I know people have left comments that I'm stealing their money. I'm actually not on food stamps. I've been on food stamps for 2 years. Even though I desperately need it. I worked for 20 years. I was a workaholic. My favorite thing to do is work. I was, very type A control freak and perfectionist and anal retentive. And I just loved working because it gives you a sense of pride. It gives you someplace to go every day to accomplish something. I'd have to do very creative things, finding creative ways to trick kids into learning history. But yeah, people have come into in my comments and said things about how I should use my $843 a month, and shaming me for receiving assistance. I would love to work. I've tried to go back to work, and I'm a fall risk, hence the walker. But yeah, my mother worked as a CNA for, since I was 3 years old, and then she just retired. So for 40 years or so, she's been working as a CNA. And basically, when people get older, they're considered a burden, and people drop their loved ones off, and maybe they'll visit, maybe they won't, because people see elderly people, people with physical, intellectual, or developmental disabilities as basically a burden, and they can't be bothered. They don't have the patience to really get to know people. I didn't know what it was like. My best friend, ironically, has a prosthetic leg. It's really cute. It's like Sanrio, Hello Kitty, Karopi. And thankfully on Friday, because she knows Oliver Peck, the judge on Ink Master, and that's his shop on Elm Street. So they let us cut in line, and I was very grateful because she's friends with him, and they know that they saw her prosthetic, and they saw me with my walker, and they just let us cut in line, which was pretty cool. I thought that was really cool. Because I was the first person for the 24 hours that they were doing tattoos at night. I was the first person at 11:57 to get my tattoo. So I was glad I didn't have to stand or brought my walker. So I was sitting. But yeah, he gave us, he let us sneak in line and cut the line. Bye. Yeah, I'm doing a YouTube live stream. I think they're gonna come in like 35 minutes. So yeah, I got the first tattoo, that 24-hour marathon that he made popular. He's not the first, but he made it popular. And I saw that comment that I was stealing, I'm stealing government money. I'm a burden. And I'm so thankful I live in a country where there's at least laws in place to protect the disabled, the American Disabilities Act. And I'm not trying to trivialize the Holocaust, but a lot of people, gay, there was a lot of, and Jews, and just a lot of different groups were seen as not having value, that there wasn't a value on human life. And so the very first victims were adults and children with disabilities, because they couldn't work and couldn't earn, and they couldn't be sent to the work camps. I was watching something, and I think it was a Vice video, that there is one place, it's called Judge Rotenberg Center. There is one center this where it's kind of like adult daycare, I think. So I found out that people with disabilities were protesting in Washington, D.C. It's pretty recent. It's the group ADAPT. But they were protesting because this one place allows shock treatment to punish as a punitive measure for people who are physically, I guess not physically, but intellectually, and have developmental delays or disabilities. And so if they consider you to be, like if you're too much work and they don't want to mess with you and they don't have the patience, they will just shock you the way, like that's so incredibly inhumane. I know they make shock collars for dogs, to train dogs, but and most people would believe that's animal cruelty, but there's this one center and the FDA allows it. And so I was wanting to learn more about that. Why, just like when, even though my mother worked there, when my father, for 3.5 years, when he was in the nursing home after a near fatal stroke, he would complain, he would cry, he would want to go home, but he was hooked up to like feeding tubes, and so he had a lot of issues. And so they would just give him tons of medication to keep him quiet and to pacify him, because he would just be upset crying all the time because nobody wants to be on bed rest. And but yeah, they just stick people places, and so they don't have to acknowledge them. And I don't know. I don't know why people would come after me for my disability, but it's really sick, and I don't know. I'll continue researching that because I wanted to look into it, why people are using shock treatment on people with intellectual developmental delays. And I remember when Geraldo Rivera, although I remember seeing I guess, the footage or the documentary. And if you've seen American Horror Story, I think season 2 about the asylum, that is based on a real life situation, because when somebody had a physical, intellectual, developmental issue, they would stick them in the same place with people who had possibly mental health issues, or maybe they were somewhat violent or schizophrenic or whatever. People would just, parents would they didn't know how to treat that. They didn't know what to do. It was an embarrassment. They were ashamed of having a disabled child. And so they would just stick them somewheres. And Geraldo Rivera did that expose on it, where he showed that there was how people were being treated. And I think Gandhi said you could really judge a society based on how they treat the most vulnerable, based on how they treat women, children, disabled people, elderly, animals, that really speaks to society as a whole. And so I'm really thankful I live here. And even though I can't work and I would love to work, and I get shamed for not working and being on government assistance, but I worked for 20 years and I paid into SSI. I know a lot of people abuse it, claiming they have something minor like anxiety or whatever, and they get essentially a crazy check because they claim they can't work. And they're cheating the system. But no, mine was very much legitimate. I would never wish this on anyone. And you would never know what it's really like, and why, I would love to make videos about topics I enjoy talking about, but physically, I don't want people to know and see me when I'm at my worst because of how judgmental people are. So I think it's about 30 minutes. My ride's coming. So I was going to cut off here. Update. I did do a quick update regarding drama. But I just wanted to say that no, I don't actually watch the videos that's been put out. I've watched 2 of them, but I scrolled through. But there's 14 videos about me. And no, I am not posting on Reddit as days of our lives. That's not me. Stop accusing whoever that is. That's somebody else. I'm not behind that account. I'm also not Ron Lemon. So I don't know why AR put a video about that. Also, that crack, I don't know. And also, yeah, I know who you are that's calling me. So I don't know why you called me yesterday with your spoof number. You live in what? Is that did you currently live in Louisville, Kentucky, or did you move and have that phone number? Because it's 502. So yeah, don't call me. I don't want to talk. I want to talk to some. I'm not going to even say it. But yeah. So there are a couple of people I apologized to KM. I don't know if she got the apology. So I wish there's a couple of people that I wish well, and God bless them. I prayed for them for healing and protection, and that everything will work out with those couple of people. And then there's other people who I have nothing, like no comment. They have no interest in having any type of interaction with those people. And sorry about the ringing. I don't know what that is. I'm in the lobby. All right. I might do something tomorrow. We'll see how I'm feeling physically. Bye, guys. Okay, here's somebody named Sugar Sauce. I'm now looking. Once you literally can't work, not by choice, but because you literally can't, it does take something from you. Working gives you a big sense of worth, and that takes, yeah. Emotionally, you can vouch for that. Justifying it may bring more problems up. They wanted to do shock treatments for serious emotional trauma. If I keep bringing it up, it's only going to get worse with the trolling. Ignore the trolls and just do what you want to do. Talk about the things you enjoy. Yeah, I could do roast videos and be funny and all that, but I have no interest in it. It's not worth my time. But I am going to talk about my disability because it's something I don't get to choose when I'm not disabled. Like I don't get a vacation from being disabled and having physical limitations and pain and a heart condition. So every day it's a struggle just to get through one day. And if people don't like it, they don't have to follow. But really, if you, like my best friend has a disability and I had no idea until it happened to me. And then I'm like, oh, this is what, like until it happens to you, you don't really know what it's like. But eventually we all get older and at some point you may become disabled and and maybe you'll get injured or sick, and at some point you're not going to live forever. So maybe you should be nicer and have more compassion and empathy when you see a disabled person out